Well, happy Sunday morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from bright, shiny San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Storytime Sunday, in which Steve tells spectacular stories of spiritual significance to inspire success in you. 30 seconds from a cocaine overdose death. Now, this may surprise you because I know many of you know my past way, way, way back in the day and the things that I went through and the things that the good Lord brought me through. But I was actually contacted and had a conversation with my one and only brother, Tim, last week, who said, bro, for your Sunday morning stories, I'm okay with you coming to light with what happened that night at Mom and Dad's house. So this isn't even about me. It's about my bro. So I had been completely delivered and healed from the addiction and everything that came along with that for a couple of years, and was living at my parents' house. My brother had gone out on his own right after high school, and what you don't understand is, see, I was the black sheep. There were two of us, two brothers, and I was the bad guy. You want to play bad son, good son? I was bad son. I had terrible grades, flunked in school, always skipping out, getting busted doing all the things I shouldn't do, heavily drug use, just a train wreck. And my brother was, straight A's, math, science, athletically inclined, did a lot of all the cool, right stuff, which was awesome and fantastic. And it was a wonderful thing. Obviously, he learned what not to do by watching Big Brother. So the story goes that one night, now nobody knew that my brother had been using drugs, you see, because we knew he never would. Because ultimately when he was born with a heart defect. From the time he was young. He was even in the newspaper as a child with a heart defect. Had a heart defect, and they were doing all kinds of new tests. They told him to really be very athletic, and that it was going to be very limited because of the strain it would put on his heart. So we all knew that for Tim to take the drug path would have been pretty much just a death sentence. But he began using more and more and more. None of us knew it. When he and I were speaking this morning for clarity on this subject, he said, one of the things I really prided myself in was the secret I had, that everybody thought I was a good guy, but really I was doing the same stuff behind the scenes, but I felt good about it. I mean, you have to remember, we were kids. He was a teen. So one night, in the middle of the night, about 2 in the morning, I get a knock on my door, and my brother comes to me, and you got to remember, I've known him since he was born. He looked exactly like a person about to die. He was white as a ghost. His eyes were black and sunken into his head. He looked like somebody that had been on a binge for 3 or 4 days with meth. He was in bad shape. This wasn't just sick. I've seen this look before with people who have overdosed on a injection and just about to die. I mean, it's literally that obvious. And he says to me, bro, he said, I don't care. What he went on to tell me this morning is, walking down the hall, he knew the shenanigans were going to be up, that he was going to get called, that he knew Mom and Dad and Steve and everybody was going to know what was going on in his secret life. And he did not care because he knew he was about to die. You see, his heart began not only palpitating, I remember what it was like. He walked in the room and said, bro, you got to take me to the hospital. Like I'm about to die. And I put my hand on my mom's a nurse. I put my hand on his wrist and I felt his pulse, and there was no rhythm. It was I mean, it was like his heart was about to explode. And he told me this morning what I said, that I had forgot what I said. I said, bro, you will not make it to the hospital. Get on your knees with me right now. We're going to seek the Lord, and we're going to ask him to come in and heal you right now. He says, I began to pray for him. And I cannot explain to you guys or expect anybody to make sense of this, but he says he remembers, because I remember I looked up as if I was looking through the walls coming down the hall, and I saw in my mind's eye, if you will, a tall, hooded figure. I knew it was spiritual, and I knew that was a spirit of death. I knew that it was walking down the hall, and if it walked into our room, Tim was gone. I could feel it. So I immediately shifted. I won't go into great detail the way that I pray. There's different types, intercession, warfare, all that stuff. I know it sounds crazy. Don't get too spooked out, folks. I mean, it is Halloween, but this issue's for real. I began rebuking that in the name of Jesus. come against that, and I asked God to immediately heal him. Immediately, and my brother says within 30 seconds, that lifted, and he was instantaneously brought back to complete and total clarity, sobriety. His color was back. It was as if he had been sitting at home for lunch at noon and nothing had happened. It was as if his entire physiology immediately changed on the spot. His heart was immediately normal. His face and countenance were immediately normal. And he knew God had done an amazing thing. Out of nowhere, he was immediately restored within 30 seconds. Now, I don't say this again, and I want you guys to be very clear with this. This is not about a Steve Collins saying, oh, it's a spiritual thing, it's all that. Now, certainly, we've been trained by Larry the Net Sergeant for over 20 plus years. We've been trained on how to pray, what to pray, who we are, what our authority is, what it means to do things to advance the kingdom, what it means to take authority and do the things that biblically and scripturally are shown to be done, and these signs will follow those that believe. All that good stuff that may bounce off ears of those of you. But understand this one thing. What this was about, it was not about me at all. What this was about a young man named Tim who had given his life to the Lord a couple of years earlier and went on a major backsliding path that nobody knew about and had the secret. This was for him the sign, I got your back, son. You can't go too far that I'm not there for you. You can't be so far off that I can't forgive. You can't be so out of whack that it's too big for me to intervene. And he instantly did something so supernatural and so unexplainable that somebody could have their complete and total life transformed by a moment in time like that. Do you know someone who you feel is too far gone? Do you know someone who you feel is unredeemable? Do you know someone who feels like they've walked away so far that it cannot be restored and redeemed? Well, I'm here to tell you, friend, you can never go too far from the loving heart of an amazing Father. Today would be a good day to take that step back if you don't feel like you're where you're supposed to be. Have an awesome day, guys.